Hi, this is Erica and John, brand photographers and educators from Florida, and you are listening to the Workflows Photography Podcast.
Alora, I'm really excited about this as you are somebody who is now, for years at this point, helping many photographers with their businesses. And so I'm excited to hear what's going well, what's not going well, and all that fun stuff in your workflow. So welcome to Workflows. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you, Scott. I'm so excited to be here. This is a topic I've never discussed before, so I'm really excited to talk about workflow, marketing, all the things.
Oh, it's my favorite topic to dig into. Just as somebody, like, I am sure I have some sort of form of ADHD, right? Undiagnosed, and so having a workflow for everything, just you have them. Everybody has them. You just don't think about them. And I just think about it all the time of what could I do better? What is going well? All that kind of stuff. So that's why it's one of my favorite topics. So let's dive into the first thing that is going well in your workflow. And of course, we're taking this from a business perspective that, while we're not directly talking photography, I think all the photographers listening will be able to relate to everything you're going to share, right? And so let's just dive into the first one. The first one you mentioned to me has to do with Notion and creating a hub for yourself in Notion. Now, I'm just going to say I am not a fan of Notion. However, I am a fan of dashboards and hubs and things like that. Mm-hmm. So, when I listen to whatever you're about to tell me, I'm going to be visualizing Google Sheets and that kind of stuff in my head. But I understand you're doing it in Notion. So let me hear all about this.
Okay. Yeah, I have tried it. I have tried Google Sheets. I've tried Google Docs. I always lose them. And coming from your perspective, I have not been tested for ADHD, but I am left-handed. So I'm naturally a divergent thinker. So I don't know if I'm really you too. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Yeah, my dad's left-handed and my sister's left-handed, and then my other sister is like, what the heck? Why didn't I get anything? But yeah, so like naturally, we just think differently. We think in visual. I always say I think in color. You have to explain to me in a way that I can visualize it. If I can't visualize it, like when people say they give you directions and they're like the street, the left, the right, I'm like, lost to me immediately. Like paint the picture, draw the tree. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why I like Notion, because I can create databases and I can connect them all together. I could share my screen and show you, all the things. But like, I just love keeping everything in one space because Google Sheets, Google Docs, all the things gets lost personally. But yeah, so I was tired of that specific issue and I decided to go into Notion and be like, okay, how can I build like a centralized CEO hub of all of my data, basically my marketing data, my sales goals. I have a database of all the courses that I'm enrolled in, that I have purchased, the payment plan, how much it costs, how long I have access. Is it lifetime? Is it 12 months? And the login information and the notes that I take. And so having all of that and just linking to multiple things, I can be like, okay, what am I not caught up on? What did I purchase recently that could be lost in my emails? So that is another thing. And then also for marketing, I have a database for just like my podcast interviews and the podcast that I'm guesting on, my own podcast. And then I am working on my Instagram and being more present. So I kind of have to have a marketing system where it's not like all your eggs in one basket. For example, all of us decide Instagram because it's quick, it's easy, you get that dopamine hit, you get the likes, the comments, or maybe get neither because the algorithm is trash, let's be real. But a lot of people put their, efforts there. But having just the focus on Instagram is not going to help you if something happens and you're out of commission for a week or two, or there's a family emergency or you just burn out and you want to ghost, get off the grid. Personally, have done many times. So having a long-term strategy of being like, okay, how's my blogging? How's my SEO? And then also, am I going to dabble in ads? And so having a database with all of those things staring at you and you can schedule them all on a calendar has been such a game changer for me. Now, I am a little bit of a slacker still on Instagram because I don't know. I'll do stories. I show up. I'll do that. I don't know if I can do 3 to 5 posts every week. That's just not,
Right.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you can relate, but it's
yeah.
not something I think about every day. Like, man, what am I going to post on Instagram today? It's like, okay, what is my long-term strategy? Like, how is this sustainable? Do I have the capacity? So, yeah, that's how I built my marketing database in Notion.
Yeah, and it's nice because talking about like the Instagram thing in particular, having it as a database, and then you can have a different view as a calendar, and you can drag and drop to visualize, how consistent am I on Instagram? So what is my potential? It's a good thing. It's a good solution for sure. Personally, when I do databases, I'm using Airtable. They can connect to each other. They don't connect to each other, I guess, as well as Notion might, depending on the Airtable plan you're in, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I also feel like, I know not everybody wants to utilize the Google ecosystem as much as we probably are already, but I definitely see Google moving into a Notion. They have been already, right? Moving into a Notion type of solution for people, right? Google Docs have added a lot of Notion features. Google Sheets are adding a lot of Notion features. And there is actually an Airtable alternative that Google has built. So I definitely see all this coming into the Google Workspace ecosystem included in due time. That's my prediction. I see it happening probably by 2026, but we'll see. But it is nice that you have been able to build something that is intertwined and cohesive and visualized enough for everything you have going on, in your business.
Yeah.
So
I kind of want to learn more about the Google universe. So you're saying they're building dashboards then? Or because I know Airtable has interfaces, and I use Airtable to run like my programs. Everybody's a student, they have records, all that stuff is there. Like that's separate. But I'm interested in the Google dashboard bit or whatever they're doing.
So Google's Airtable competitor, whatever you want to call it, is called Tables. So it's like Google Tables or whatever it is. And yeah, it has different views and all the same stuff that Airtable does. It's not as, I'm going to say not as robust as Airtable, but it was part of their like labs feature. They have like a group of employees that just build stuff to see what happens. It's part of that. So it hasn't evolved publicly in quite some time, but Google knows that people are using Notion, so that they're working on it, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. So
I think that's interesting. Yeah. But you think that Google, is it Tables? Google Tables is going to replace, you think, Airtable by like next year?
I think there will be a sort of more official Google Tables that is available to everybody that they will push for people to utilize. And my theory is that, my guess is that, maybe it's my hope, who knows, is that it will be incorporated like within a Google Doc. You will be able to deeply integrate a Google Sheet and a table and whatever, Yeah. So making it a more fluid, cohesive solution. That's my guess.
I mean, because the multiple, I don't even know, what do you call them? They don't intertwine with each other. And so you can put them in a Google Drive folder, and that's great. Sometimes it doesn't work, but I just feel like, right now it's like, okay, you have a Google Doc and then you lose it because everybody uses Google Docs. Sometimes I'll just make a Google Sheet just to do a simple calculation because I'm not a math girl. And then that's also lost. So that is interesting to see how that would go. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, now if you launch a Google Doc, you can actually right away choose a template that looks exactly like Notion. So, and you can even, if you're started typing something and you want to reference a Google Sheet or a Google Slide, or you want to reference a Google Form or another Google Doc, you hit the @ sign and start typing like you're mentioning something, and then now you've got that document linked directly. So they're moving in that direction.
Huh. That's very. Are you a Google guy? Like, is this?
I definitely fall in the line of I'd rather not use Google as much as I'm using Google, but I'm so deeply in it at this point after years and years and years that it's like leaving is more of a hassle than it is to stay, right?
It's
at
true.
That point. So
no, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. So the second thing that you mentioned to me that is going well in your workflow is your use of ChatGPT. As an AI fan myself, working for an AI company, and someone who's been using ChatGPT for years as well, I love seeing when people intelligently use ChatGPT. So, share with me how are you using ChatGPT in your business?
Oh my gosh, for so many things. I actually recently left ChatGPT for Claude because, and I call him Chatty B, but like Chatty B was giving me like some crazy answers. And I'm like, okay, I need you to make this sound smarter. Okay, this is my tone of voice. Like, so I have uploaded documents because you have to feed your AI like a baby, but like you go from like, instead of having mushy food, you instantly go into solid food. Like this is a Google Doc. And it's uploaded as a PDF. This is my brand voice. These are all the things that I say. This is what I believe. This is my backstory. These are all like the products that I have, the things I want to do, my goals, my missions. And so after feeding it that much for so long, you add it to a project. And now ChatGPT should be so smart in everything concerning those documents. So I have done that to update my website copy and make it sound like me. And it was really hard to get the witty and sarcasm just right without being too offensive, because sometimes it doesn't sound like a person. It sounds like a person that like wants to fit in at the lunch table and you're like, where did you come from? But after tweaking for like months and months of that, I feel like I finally mastered the ability to have ChatGPT create my content for me. And I think it's I don't know, like I can have sometimes like I will tweak it a little bit just to make it sound a little bit more like a real person. But for the most part, it's pretty flawless. And then at least for me, because I am a photography strategist, so like with my students, there are ChatGPT like bots all over my program, in my curriculum. If there's something that everyone's getting stuck on, I'll just like make a bot. I'll make a bot and I will train it and I will give it lots of information. Like I think I usually spend about 5 to 6 hours on a really, really good informational bot. I've created a mindset one where if people just need like therapy, they just need like a quick mindset shift based on what we teach and like all the different methods of like from scarcity to growth, this can't happen for me, imposter syndrome. And so you can literally say, I'm struggling with this. And the bot would be like, boom, 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 boom. Now how are you going to move forward? So that has been helpful. And then creating ones that help you come up with content ideas based on like what your goals are, or just like showcasing your work and being like, what words does this, bring up? Or how does this resonate? What feelings do these images evoke? Because as photographers, we're so close to our work. We're so close to the whole business that sometimes we can't see like the forest between the trees. And so being able to sometimes just like upload something and be like, okay, what's going on? No, that's not connecting. Yes, that is connecting. So yeah, I feel like AI in terms of like not necessarily creating things from scratch, but auditing, cleaning up, and just like making sure that you're not so in your head that you can kind of like offboard it to a virtual bestie in a way. Yeah.
You mentioned that you switched to Claude recently.
Yeah.
What was the differentiation? What was the driver? What was like the last straw that you had with ChatGPT? Good, that's a good word. To make you switch to Claude. Like what did it for you?
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like I feed them both. They have like 7 to 8 documents of content, of information, back history, everything. And Chatty B was just giving me such like stuff that I already see online. Like, when somebody puts something through ChatGPT, you're like, okay, that was AI. That was AI. Like, they didn't even put any effort. They just literally just posted that. Yeah. I wasn't trying to have that. I don't want people to look at something and be like, oh, she didn't even like create that or audit it. She just posted it. And so I kept getting the same response over and over, and it kept sounding less and less human. And I was like, I have spent a month training you. And then someone was like, oh, well, Claude it's like more personality or just a little bit more resonant. current, I don't know. The language barrier is completely different to me. So I love Claude. Now they say Claude doesn't have a good memory as ChatGPT, so some people have both. I'm not doing all that. But yeah, I like Claude's answers. And then if it's not perfect, I'll be like, rewrite this, but add a little bit more wit. Take away some of the sarcasm. You're a little mean, and they get it usually within the first 2 to 3 tries. But yeah, I like Claude better for that reason.
So 2 things to share. One is I noticed that lately ChatGPT has been adding, I don't know what the symbol is, but where it's like 2 hyphens, but like sort of like butt together, where it looks like one long hyphen.
Oh, M dash?
Is that what it is?
Is it the really long?
The really long line.
M dash.
Yeah. I've noticed that lately it's been using it way more than it ever has. And I don't know if it's because, like, at this point, I've trained ChatGPT to stop using delve and all those other words that are very obvious.
Delve, yes.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's trying to, like, make up for it by adding these characters. Again, that could be part of the memory thing of it trying to evolve. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious. The other thing, sort of going back to the Google thing, something I've been trying to build lately with ChatGPT is, in the Imagen community, we get asked quite often, like, hey, here's a editing style that I love. What AI profile do you recommend? Oh. So I built, with a lot of prompting and some other stuff, I built a imagen-ai that anybody could, in theory, if this worked properly, upload an image. It would describe the editing style of that image and then recommend any AI profile that is available for Imagen based on that image.
Wow.
Well, ChatGPT likes to make up stuff that doesn't exist, even though it has all the instructions and all the data points.
Yeah.
I made a Google, their Gemini, which I don't really use often, but I like to play around. I like to compare, right? And I haven't tried it with Claude yet, but I gave the same exact instructions to Google Gemini in what they call a gem. Works perfect. Absolutely perfect.
First try?
First try. Gems are not shareable like my GPTs are. So where it's working better as far as the results go, I can't do anything with it for the community. So it's just very interesting to compare and contrast, right? Yeah, but ChatGPT likes to make up a whole bunch of stuff that I'm like, not only is it making up like profile names and taking real photographers and giving it a profile name, but it's giving me fake links that just don't work.
Stop.
And it's just like,
it's just
what are you
content.
doing?
It's a certified yapper with no information.
Yeah. But it nails it with like the description of the editing style, right? That it does really well, which I think is something that ChatGPT has going on for it. It can do things like that very well. But typically when I do a my GPT, it's great, right? But sometimes it's not. And
start tweaking.
So there'll be even times where I'd be like, only use the data that I provided with you, and then it replies and says, okay, I have strengthened my restrictions to only do that, and yet it's still
no, it doesn't listen. That was probably, I should have summed that up. ChatGPT doesn't listen. It does its own freaking thing. I'm like, what are you doing? This is not what I asked for. And the emoji bomb, I'm like, what are these emojis right now?
Yeah. Yep.
It's overwhelming. It's too happy.
It is. I would be curious. I should try this in Claude and see what it does compared to the others. So anyway,
I tried it once and I was sold. So yeah, I was like, get me out of here.
Yeah. So you moving into like what's not working well, that you're struggling with, that you're working on improving. You mentioned to me that you are working on more consistency with a 4-part marketing system.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that means, and maybe others can learn and do the same?
Totally. So the first part is short term, which is social media, anything that disappears or lives shortly. And then long term is anything between like blogs, SEO, your website, I guess, can count too. But long term marketing is more, it's like a slow burn, and short term marketing is a little bit more fast paced. And then there's also like networking, collabing, word of mouth, all those things. And then there's ads, which kind of like is a standalone. It's like the pay to play. So personally, I think in the past for years have put all my eggs in short term. But if something happens or I disappear or I just get tired, like I'm also off of the face of the earth. And I don't think that's sustainable. And so, even the wedding photography industry, you always talk about blogging, right? You need to blog your weddings. You need to talk about their stories and use very specific keywords, use search engine optimization in terms of like the titles, all those things, which is actually what Noelle is talking about with my students right now. But like blog and SEO, I think is where everyone's lacking because everyone loves the dopamine rush of Instagram, whatever it's giving us. And then me personally, I am focusing more on like in-person events. I'm trying to get back out there now that the pandemic is supposedly really gone. Knock on wood.
Let's keep that away.
No, literally. It's like, I know it's been 5 years, but like, don't come back. Like,
Yeah, we're good. We don't need you anymore.
So good. But yeah, I'm actually coming up with like a strategy plan of being like, what is like my goal behind my posts? What can I do sustainably if I am going to, dip my toe in short term, maybe like 1 to 2 posts a week. But then like I'm putting all of my efforts into like blog and SEO this year, being like, okay, I need to build my house. And I feel like, Instagram is, I don't know, the front door. I don't know. It didn't work out. And so like ads, I want to play around with that too. I'm hearing about Google ads versus Meta ads and how there's differentiation there in terms of pricing. There's differentiation there in terms of like the cost per lead and the keywords. So pretty much that. And having a database where I can color code like, okay, all of these categories are under short term, all of these categories are under long term. So I can look at the color and know, okay, there's a lot of short term, there's not enough long term. Or, maybe we're not doing ads this summer, we'll do ads later. And then also, am I collaborating? Am I doing something, with someone else? Am I putting my name out there? Am I going to am I being visible? And I feel like that's really what marketing is working on your visibility constantly. Because I think that, we think marketing is optional, but it's really not. Because if you don't get bookings, if you don't get inquiries, don't get bookings, and then you don't make money. Like it starts with marketing and it ends with sales. And so, yeah, that's what I've been working on just for myself. And then with my students too, all of them said, like, actually, we're doing really good with Instagram and Facebook groups are making a resurgence. But I hate blogging. I don't want to do it. Or SEO, what is that? What's a keyword? And so Noella was walking them through like all of their backend and the backlinks and explain the terminology. And everyone was just like mind blown. Because the word of mouth, the client experience, that's easy. Like everyone, just be a good person and they'll refer you. But what about all the other things? So it's like looking for the gaps and seeing where you need to make adjustments so that you can have better results.
Yeah. So prior to working at Imagine, I worked at a company who was in the photography website space. For 10 years, I worked for that company. And talking about SEO and talking about blogging, that was my life for 10 years. And so, like, it's funny, like, I feel like I still hear about it. I have for a very long time. And yet there's communities that don't talk about it. And then they start, right?
Yeah.
And it's like brand new to them, or they put it off for so long and now they have to focus on it, or now they want to focus on it, whatever it might be. So it is interesting that your students are sort of fairly new to them to now think about, okay, got to go back to the website part because Instagram, is Instagram. Yeah. I am curious, since you started doing this, since your students started doing this as well, are they seeing a shift in where their leads come from? Beyond Instagram? Is Instagram now going down a bit as other things go up? How has it been working so far?
Yeah. One of my students, she decided to go full throttle in SEO for about 6 to 12 months. And she was dabbling with Instagram as we all do, trying to figure out what. And so eventually after that year of her just like adjusting and posting and making sure everything is resonant with like her dream couples and stuff, she booked like 90% of her weddings from SEO. And she was like, so I can take Instagram vacations? Bye. Yep. See ya.
Yeah.
So it does work. It's not instant though. Like you have to trust the process. But I feel like, and this is just me in general, like whatever you make work will work. You know what I mean? If you want to focus on this and you're putting all of your effort in that, it's probably going to work. I can't say that for Instagram, but if you find a strategy and it works for you and sustainable, then maybe it will, or maybe you do it in the way that you want to show up. And maybe your energy is different because you want to show up in Instagram stories versus dancing on reels. Or maybe you do talking reels instead of dancing. Whatever it is that seems to kind of work with like your energy, I feel like it's going to work because you're going to put all of your efforts there. And then people just know when you're passionate about something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion.
I think with AI becoming a huge component of SEO at this point.
Yeah.
It's going beyond just the algorithm of search engines. It's now AI is now thinking, for lack of a better word, to what to give you as an answer, right? So in a way, it becomes even more a show what you want to sell, show what you want to book type of situation. In the same way as Instagram is show yourself and what you want to book, and people will contact you to book. Now these days, beyond just the core SEO values that have really not changed much over the years, I think and I'm experiencing this myself in my own photography, is the more I blog and create content on my website about what I want to book and where I want to book, I am getting those leads non-stop.
Wow.
So it really is a good example of this is, it's funny, the last podcast episode I just recorded, we sort of talked about this a little bit as well. I live near Princeton University. I'm about 35 minutes away from the campus. And it's a beautiful campus. I typically get clients who want their photography there because they went there. The couple met at the university. But sometimes I get clients or leads, because I don't always book everybody. I get leads that did not go there, but still want their photos there. So I'll question it. If they don't tell me in the lead form why they chose that location, I'll ask. One was, and I photographed this session, one was that they love Harry Potter. And the architecture of the campus is very much Harry Potter vibes. But then I had one recently that they said, oh, well, we just saw your portfolio and we really like the photos that were at Princeton. I'm like, great. But it has no meaning for you besides just what you saw. So you booked based on what I showed you.
That's
right.
simple.
And it happens a lot. So food for thought for those listening is just think about not just blogging for SEO purposes, but show if there's a wedding venue that you love photographing at, or you want to get on their preferred list as a photographer, show that a lot. Not only will you catch search engines with their new AI features too, but you will also catch the attention of the venue. You'll catch the attention of the couples that are going to have their weddings there. So it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I know. In addition to doing like wedding posts specifically, is also like having a post per venue or the vendor relationships that you have too, which is good for their SEO, your SEO, and all that other great stuff. But I feel like too, it just shows your expertise, and people will look to you from that perspective of like, oh, they know what they're talking about. They're professional. These are the photos they've taken here. This is the advice they have for us. Like, we're going to obviously like inquire with them. So I do feel like, I mean, that seems like the very tale as old as time, but like show what you want to shoot. But it seems to kind of hold its ground for decades.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Totally does. Totally does. And again, like it shifts, right? I mean, at one point it was everybody was all in on Instagram, right? And the same thing was talking about what to do on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I feel like things come full circle, and it always comes back to own your own domain, right? own your own content, and in a way, SEO is kind of another form of word of mouth, right? It's just the search engines are showing that they trust you more than people. So that's the way I look at it, at least.
Yeah. I feel like we are kind of generation too, that if we want something, we're just going to look it up. You know what I mean? And we get instant gratification knowing, oh, okay, this is what I want, like I want to do, or this is what I want. This is what I want to hire for. Oh, this person came up page 1, page 2, page 3. Like I'm going to inquire with all of these people. So, I mean, it does pay off in the long run. Like once you're on that, everyone wants to be in the first page of Google. It's a big deal, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. I search a lot of things I don't even ask people verbally. And I was like, oh, okay, good to know. First article, you know, take it take it for face value.
Yeah. One question before we wrap this up. If you were to give advice to a photographer just getting started, they've had experience in photography, but they're just getting started in the business side of things, well, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. It's mindset. It'll always be mindset, because when you get started, you're either really excited and also really scared at the same time. And sometimes the scariness kind of overwhelms the ambition. And so like people are so excited to say, oh, I can't wait till I do this, or I want to do this, and they don't end up doing it. It's been like, work on your mindset as much as possible so you can just kind of hit the ground running. Whether it's about money and understanding like you're deserving of money and maybe you didn't come from money, and just like having just the understanding of like, I can make money. Literally, I can make money. I can talk about money. Money can happen for me. And then, of course, about the skills. Oh, I can't raise my prices because I don't know this skill yet. Or I was like, how can you learn that skill? Being in the way of like reframing constantly instead of living on this negative hamster wheel, being like, okay, how can I come to a solution? Because that can't be the end. Somebody else has done this before. Why can't it happen for me? So I always will say, work on your mindset. I'm still working on my mindset constantly. Been in business for like 15 years now at this point, and I'm still working through mindset, because every single level is going to be a different set of issues, you know? So yeah, that would be my advice.
Amazing.
Cool.
Alora, where can everybody learn more about you? Check out the business mentorships and whatnot that you offer, the events you'll be speaking at. Where can they find all the stuff about Alora?
Yeah, AloraRachelle.com, and Instagram is Alora.Rachelle. And then my podcast is Wedding Atelier. So yeah, all the things.
Sweet. Be sure to check out the podcast, subscribe as well. I will be on that podcast at some point soon as well. So very exciting. So we'll be linking to all that in the show notes. Thank you everybody for listening. Alora, thank you for hopping in and chatting with me. I love hearing different perspectives on everything, and I know everybody's going to walk away with some good nuggets.
Thank you for having me.
You have been listening to the Workflows Photography Podcast. To hear more from Workflows, to learn more about our guest, and for an exclusive offer for Workflows listeners, please go to workflowspodcast.com. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.